From the most unorthodox corner of YouTube, he weighs in at 169 pounds. It is Unorthodox Master of Games. Thank you guys so much. I recently passed a milestone. With this video, I have posted my 100th Catan video, and I'm not slowing down anytime soon. My other milestone was passing 222 subscribers. Not 2 years ago, I could not see myself passing 100, but I make these really off-the-wall goals in terms of the number that I'm trying to reach. So the first goal was to get to 69 subscribers, which I did achieve. And then just the other week, I got to 222, my next goal. So now, beyond this, I gotta make up a new number to get to. So thank you guys for subscribing, for watching, for commenting, for asking for more Catan videos. That just makes me want to make even more all across the board. Unorthodox videos, good Catan gameplays where it's a really close game, and any of your other suggestions. So please, you know where to put them. In this 100th Catan video, I'm playing classic good old Cities and Nights, but it may be Cities and Nights like you've never seen it before. If you've never experienced it before either, you're in for a real treat, because as the title would suggest, you never, ever want to give up in any game of Catan, really. But for me, I play through every game to the very end, even if it's the bleakest, darkest looking game where I'm definitely going to lose. I still play through to the end, because you never know what could happen in on a scale of pretty miraculous. So that's kind of what this game was about. Disclaimer, I am playing with my two really good friends. Of course, we can't play in person with the physical board game Catan that I have sitting to the left of my feet, but we can play on the app. It still brings us together, even during the coronavirus. So we are playing just Cities and Nights, the first island, because our residential IT wizard, Mac.Schleier, wants to play Catan with us, but he likes very vanilla Catan, just basic Catan, nothing fancy. Barely even likes Harbor Master, which is a slight variation of basic Catan. He likes his Catan vanilla. I guess he likes his ice cream vanilla, and I guess he does other things in a very basic way. But I'm sure he has much more expertise, or he has a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? His work is very technical and demanding mentally, with figuring out all of his IT stuff. I can't even throw a word of jargon from the IT world at you, because I just don't know any. But in his world, work is very complicated. So when you get home, of course, you want to just dial it back. You just want to relax. Some people throw on Netflix, which I'm sure he has some streaming services available to him, but he also wants to play vanilla Catan every once in a while, just to kick back. That's his equivalent of sitting on the beach and drinking a beer, or something like that. Now, we move over to Deshoes, my other good friend. You gotta watch out for this guy, because he is the exact opposite. He likes chocolate Catan. And what I mean, I don't mean that in a literal sense. I just mean that if vanilla Catan is only playing basic Catan, chocolate Catan is playing every single mode there possibly is to play on Catan Universe. And that is my buddy Deshoes. He is basically as good as I am in Cities and Nights. So, but he does play slightly differently in his gameplay, or actually a good amount differently. He generally will do things a certain way, and you'll see that as we progress through the game compared to what I would do. But you really got to watch out for this guy, because for whatever reason, the dice rolls always seem to go his way, so I really have to hunker down and focus in on the game so I can make sure that I am hanging with him in victory points all along the way so I don't just get destroyed and left in his dust. So yes, that is my official definition for chocolate Catan, playing any type of Catan scenario, game mode, whatever. So write that down and don't forget it. In this game, I was able to go last, so I was able to place my starting settlement and my starting city right after the starting settlement. So I went for the 8 wheat because you see that Mac.Schleier already got in the other 8 wheat, and I'm like, I'm not going to take a 5 wheat that Deschutes is already built on and then only have like a 9-10 sheep after that. I want to get on the 8 wheat so I can point my road towards the wood port, and I'm also built on the 4 wood and the 10 sheep. And for my starting city, why not try to maximize my chances of getting the science bonus ASAP by building on the 4 lumber, the 9 lumber, and the 3 stone for some hopefully lucky coin, which, as you can see, I do have a coin in my hand. Now, it looks like I am going to lose my starting city, so I go ahead, I pay the coin for Blue City Improvements level 1, and then I hope for any kind of trade from anybody so I can actually build something before I lose the city, because amazingly, 8s decide to just not get rolled during the first go-around of the Barbarians. You see that a bunch of 7s, which is never what you want, a bunch of 7s do get rolled, and the robber die rolls with them, so the Barbarians just keep advancing. And just when it's convenient, that's sarcasm, by the way, for me, for an 8 to get rolled, right when the Barbarians are on top of attacking our land, and I get a wheat, and now I'm like, well, this is totally helpless. Or this is helpless. Is that the right word? This is not useful. That's what I meant to say. So Mac.Schleier wants a road, but I don't have a coin to give him, so I'm going to offer him an ore. If he takes that, then I just got a road in my hand, and that's going to be very good for me because you see I didn't build on brick whatsoever. And I'm kind of keeping an eye on the brick hex up top of your screen. It's the 6 brick that Deschutes built on. He might start rolling in the brick if 6s get rolled a lot. He's already going to get 3 brick off of a single roll. And he's also built on the 6 sheep, so he's going to get 4 cards off of a 6. That kind of makes me want to get on a 6. So an 8 gets rolled, but Barbarians are here, and I didn't even have a sheep. Even if I wanted to build a knight, I wouldn't have been able to anyways, because 1, it wasn't my turn while the Barbarians were still not attacking, and 2, I didn't have any sheep, so go figure. So at this point, I'm like, well, I could trade in 4 lumber for a 3rd stone and then get me a city. But the robber had other ideas. The robber said, you're not building anything noteworthy this turn whatsoever, so you just get rid of those cards and you're going to shut someone down, but you're not going to get what you want. Because I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get a stone from one of them. No, I get a wheat. So I have the opposite combination of what I need to get my city back on the board. I have the 3 wheat and the 2 ore. Of course, you need 3 ore and 2 wheat. So I got to pass the dice off to Mac.Schleier. Thankfully, I do get a progress card because I was able to use a paper to get to Green City Improvements level 1. Now, keep in mind, if you are trying to build city improvements and you don't have a city on the board because you lost it because of the Barbarians, you will not be allowed to spend that paper, spend that coin, or spend that cloth for any city improvements. You are only allowed to upgrade city improvements if you have a city on the board. Otherwise, those commodities in your hand, basically useless, or you can hope to trade them off to other players. But personally, I don't like to trade them to other players because now I'm just helping them get city improvements, and in turn, I'm basically helping them to get progress cards later on in the game that could be used against me potentially, or to further benefit them. So if I always go that deep in my thought process. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want to trade anybody commodities if I absolutely don't have to. If the only time I trade people commodities really is if I'm getting something in the trade that is so good for me that I can build a road in a settlement or a city in a crucial part of the game in a certain type of scenario, or if they're giving me a different type of commodity that I really need to get some type of metropolis bonus or whatever, what have you, city improvement bonus. So yeah, and the only other time that I can think of that I trade away commodities is when I've already maxed out to level 5 of whatever the color is for the city improvements, or if another player has, and I'm not worried about trying to steal a metropolis because it's no longer possible. So yeah, very few times will I be trading away commodities. Now, I do get the cards for a road, but beyond that, I gotta throw a knight on the board or something, because I have this city back on the board, and I do not want to lose it again. And this time, I'm gonna point my road. I could have pointed it towards the lumber port and tried to build on it, but I would have been in a battle for it versus Deschutes. He could have, right now, he's in a spot where he can just build on the 9-10 sheep, or he could build an extra road to the lumber port and fight me for it. I'm like, I don't have the cards to fight him for it, so honestly, it's just not doable right now. I could have placed the road and then placed the knight to block him from getting to the lumber port spot, but I feel like he would have just maybe placed the settlement on the 9-10 sheep spot, and then no one would have been able to get to the lumber port because it would not have been 2 spaces away from either my original starting settlement or that settlement that he could have placed on that 9-10 sheep. So I was like, let me just go for more wheat. I only have 1 wheat hex. There's a good chance if someone else rolls a 7, they're going to throw it on the 8 wheat if they recognize that I really, really need that right now to protect my city, because I needed to activate my knight. Of course, the hotter spot to shut down would be the 9, or now the 5. I used Inventor, and I got the 5 on my lumber instead of the 4, so that's just a slight upgrade, but it should be enough to really get me some more paper here. I'm really wanting to get that science bonus, and I thought Mac.Schleier was going to steal my paper with Trade Monopoly, but I guess he tried to steal cloth and no one had it. And you gotta kind of scratch your head at Mac.Schleier, because he does have, a city built on the 6 sheep, which will net you 1 sheep and 1 cloth every time a 6 is rolled. But Deschutes, one of his opponents, only has a settlement on that 6 sheep, so there's no possible way that he could be getting cloth. And there's also no possible way that I could be getting cloth, because none of us have a city on a sheep hex. So I don't know if, in fact, Mac.Schleier was trying to steal sheep with that trade monopoly. You got to think again, sir, because we do not have that. We have paper and maybe coin, but that's about it. So Deschutes, what does he go ahead and do? He builds the extra road, gets Longish Road, and gets a settlement on that lumber port. And good for him. Oh man, and he got the science bonus all in the same turn. See, this is the thing with him. He'll just be, casually playing in the early on, building a couple things, and all of a sudden, like maybe a quarter of the way through the game, he'll just have this really hot turn that just like really catapults him forward. And you're like, wait, how did you do that? And we're back here, like we're struggling to get resources, get progress cards, commodities. How did you just go ahead and have such a hot turn? And he's like, I'm just better than you, basically. And then now you're playing catch up. I think I'm always playing catch up if I play a game of Catan Universe against Deschutes. Very rarely do I have the lead on him. It's just I have to get the lead back from him. And it's actually very similar, if not just the opposite, in our ping pong games, because me and Deschutes love to play ping pong, aka table tennis, and usually if I'm ahead, he'll fight all the way back up to catch up with me, and then I might usually beat him by the win by 2 rule if you're into the ping pong and whatnot. Or if he's ahead, I'll just like really focus in and catch back up to him in a game of ping pong to 21 points. But that's another story. There are ping pong videos of me and Deshoes battling it out on the local ping pong table in the Virginia area. And you can see I think I posted nearly 30 videos of me playing ping pong against specifically Deshoes. I also played against other opponents. That was a lot of fun. Go check those out if you're curious. So now, and of course I play ping pong in an unorthodox way. Who do you think I am? So Mac.Schleier gets level 1 on the Paper City improvements, but I'm really looking at Deshoes because he's already got the science bonus, and I'm like, dude, how are 2s getting rolled at such good times for you, and you're getting paper off a 2? That just seems so absurd to me. But thankfully, the Master Merchant cannot be used on me because I'm still stuck at 3 victory points. Keep in mind, when you lose your city in Cities and Knights, you drop back down to 2 victory points. And you just gotta feel so embarrassed. You're like so just full of shame. You're like, how could I let this happen? Like, when do people go backwards in victory points that early on? Now you really have to play a bunch of catch up, because you know if you can't have a city on the board, if you're unable to, you're not getting any commodities, thus you're not getting any city improvements, thus you're not getting progress cards, which are such a huge part of this game mode. And it's just, I just love Cities and Knights. There's just so many different things that can be done. I think you have a better opportunity, because there's so many ways to screw over other players, that you have a better opportunity in Cities and Knights to catch back up and get back in the game as compared to Basic Catan, where you're kind of at the mercy of the dice rolls and the robber either shutting you down a lot, or are you able to get the robber off your hexes with night cards or rolling 7s on your turn. So Cities and Knights are just way more opportunities to get back in the game if you're down by a lot. At least that's my opinion, just from playing a bunch of Cities and Knights and playing a bunch of Base Catan or playing a bunch of Seafarers. Seafarers is kind of, it's closer to Basic Catan in terms of luck and strategy. There is just enough more strategy to kind of keep the game fresh if you've just been playing Basic Catan a lot, or exclusively. So if you load up some Seafarer scenario games, those can be pretty fun. But I'm telling you, when you add in the Cities and Knights element, it just takes everything to a whole new level. I absolutely love playing this game mode. I mean, this is one of those games where I could just keep, as soon as the match is over, I could hop into another match and just, keep going. Of course, life calls for family, work, having a life, all these other things. But Cities and Knights, it's just that fun. I think, video games come and go, but board games, and now the fact that we can play a lot of board games virtually, is just why, the good ones will be timeless classics, as they should be. Okay, so now focusing back in, it looks like Deshoes used Alchemist, and of course he's going to Alchemist a 2 because R9 is shut down, but he also doesn't want me to get paper, so he's going to do the 2 so only he gets paper, and I'm stuck having 0 paper, not getting any. And now he did use Smith, so he has the potential to get 4 Knight Strength on the board. I'm like, not only is this guy in the lead, not only did I just roll a 12, but thankfully I do have the science bonus by now. But he could get a Defender of Catan victory point and just keep steamrolling along. We're only going to 13 victory points in this game. But if you look at the timestamp, we're only just over 19 minutes in this game. But this game is 77 minutes long in this video. Keep in mind, when I was editing the footage, I had to edit out 43 minutes of gameplay, if you can believe it, because we were on a Google Meets call at the same time we were playing this great game, and I think when I set up the custom match, you can set the round timer, so I just turned it off because I was like, we take quick turns, like let's just not worry about it. if someone has to go to the bathroom or grab a snack real quick, that's why we turn the timer off. But no, certain people, cough cough Mac.Schleier, would take at least a minute of just like thinking through what to do on not every turn, but most turns. And I'm looking back, editing the footage. I'm like, okay, when is he gonna even trade something in or offer a trade or do anything really? And the screen is just like not changing at all. I'm like, okay, 54 seconds later, he trades in 2 sheep for a brick. Wonderful. Now that 54 seconds of just the screen doing nothing whatsoever, just stuck on the same visual, I'm just gonna cut all that out, because if not, my viewers would be here for nearly 2 hours to watch just a Cities and Knights on the First Island gameplay, and I can't have that. I know it is the 100th video. I wanted to bring you guys something very special, and of course I did, as you're seeing with this gameplay. But come on, too much downtime, just sitting there on the screen waiting for something to happen next. I gotta cut out as much of that as I can, but still bring you guys a very nice gameplay that you can sit down and watch and be satisfied with by the end. Okay, so Mac.Schleier, after taking long turns, does get a Metropolis. So he's up to 9 victory points. Look at little old Dupinator, still stuck back at 4. Now, green is my lucky color, so I always try to play with green pieces in Catan Universe and in Catan, the real-life board game, because it does net me... how often do I win with green pieces? A little more than half the time, so therefore it's a legitimate strategy, right? Instead of just, winning once and then losing the next and then so on and so forth. I think I actually do win more than 50% of the time with green pieces. So, plus it's my favorite color. What are you gonna tell me? I'm stuck in my ways and my beliefs with this. So I'm gonna roll some dice here. I get a 10. Now I'm starting to get cloth. So Mac.Schleier earlier, when you used that trade monopoly on cloth, I have it now. So you can't get it now because I just used it for level 1 city improvement on the yellow Metropolis side, because I know you have that yellow Metropolis. You have it now. Let's just say that. Let's see what happens. But I may want to steal that from you because you're winning the game and you're only 4 victory points away from winning. And I really can't have that. How crazy is it that Mac.Schleier was 4 victory points away from winning? And you look at the timestamp in the video. I'm going to be here. I don't know if you guys are going to stick around for the whole video, but I'm going to be here for another 40 minutes at least, like 44 to be exact. So you might be viewing this and scratching your head like, why is this going to take so long? Well, just keep watching if you're curious. It gets pretty funny at some points, but at other points, it is very satisfying for me. But for other players, it may not be so entertaining to be a part of this experience. So Deschutes will roll a 6. He gets a bunch of cards. And Mac.Schleier will also pick up a cloth with a sheep. And he does have merchant on the sheep port. So him being at 10 victory points, what I'm really looking at to steal from him to bring him back down to victory points is merchant and that yellow Metropolis. But I'm also thinking about Deschutes trying to get 4 paper and getting the green Metropolis, which he does right at this moment. So now I have 2 powerhouses that I'm playing against. I'm like, they both have double the amount of victory points that I have. What can I possibly do? I know now I have to try to take Mac.Schleier's yellow Metropolis. I have to take his merchant. I have to take Deschutes' green Metropolis if that's possible, because I'm closer to taking the green one than I am to the yellow one. I also have to take Deschutes' longest road. So if you add up the 2 Metropolises, longest road, and the merchant, that's 7 victory points to be stolen. Now, trying to steal all of that is going to be very difficult. Not impossible, but almost outside of the realm of, reality. But we're going to see what happens. So I do go ahead and I put some roads over to get on the 9 lumber, 11 ore. In retrospect, as I take a science bonus card, I maybe should have gone for the 3-for-1 port sooner. That way I could have had some fantastic trades in crucial moments later in the game. But I think my thought process was, let me build over here so that Deschutes can't link up all of his roads and just have longest road forever, basically. But then Deschutes is like, I see what you're trying to do. Let me use longest road, pay for another road out of my resources, then throw a knight down that spot because he didn't have the cards to throw a settlement there, and block me from getting on that spot. Not only did he block me from putting a settlement there, because you see I'm 1 lumber away from having a settlement in my hand, he also, by placing the knight, allowed himself free reign of building those last 2 roads to connect up both of his road systems. I can no longer cut it off right now at this point. I would have to hope for an intrigue card to come my way, but so far blue progress cards have been few and far between. So we're just going to have to see what happens there. Now that I can't build a settlement there, I'm going to have to see what else I can do here. Because I also have to worry about Deschutes getting a Defender of Catan victory point. So that's another thing that I have to try to stop if I can. But it seems like too much, too late in the game. But of course, you're watching this video, you're like, I kind of have the foreshadowing from you, Dupinator, from you Unorthodox Master of Games, that this game might turn out a little bit better for you than you might try to insinuate it to be. And you know what? Just keep watching. So, Mac.Schleyer, in typical fashion, almost never goes for longest road. I've played enough games of Catan with him to know that. So he loves building up rather than building out. He will build cities all day long and then just get a bunch of resources coming in constantly from those rolls because, of course, having cities on your resources are, doubling, and then, like on the 10, is quadrupling up the number of cards coming into his hand. And he will only build a settlement usually after all his other settlements have been upgraded into cities, which is not a bad strategy whatsoever. But just keep that in mind, that because I know him and I know his strategies, I know how to play my game in such a way as to have a better chance of winning against such a strategy. I always watch what other people are doing in any game of Catan in comparison to what I'm doing, so I can see the best way to keep the game going as long as possible so I have a chance to swoop in later and take the win. Another good thing to do is not only watch other players to see what they're doing so that you can extend the game longer, but try to turn people against each other. So for example, let's say one player is really, really far in the lead compared to anyone else, and they have longest road. You try to get another player that's not you to take longest road, so you're forcing them to focus just mostly on that, just so the game can keep going. And they'll be like, oh yeah, of course, I'm going to do everything in my power to take longest road, I agree with you, so that the player in the lead won't have it anymore, and so that everyone else will have a chance to win the game. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, sure, that's my plan on the surface, but deeper, a couple levels further in to my mastermind plan, I guess you could say, is I'm getting that other player to focus on stealing the leading player's longest road in this hypothetical scenario, while all the while I'm really doing the best thing for me to win and keep an eye on those two players kind of fighting it out for longest road. Because if they can get the lead player sidetracked from winning and now focus on protecting some victory points they already have, then I can kind of keep working every turn, every dice roll, and try to get my game up so that I actually pass both of them by. And they're like, wait a minute, now you're winning, now we have to shut you down. But I'm like, mohaha, it's too late. This whole time I've been masterminding my ultimate plan to lay everything out just right, to do other things in the game, to beat you guys while you've been focused on this one thing. So moral of the story, you never focus on just one thing in any version of Catan, in any game mode, in any expansion. You always have to be a global Catanian, I will say. You have to look at the big picture. You have to not just play your game, but you have to see what other players are doing, how you can shut them down, be ready for certain scenarios to pop up and how to act on them the best way to keep the game going longer for the benefit of yourself. And this is all, of course, under the pretense that you are behind in victory points. If you're ahead in victory points, you just keep steamrolling right ahead. You just, look, with tunnel vision, look at the light at the end of the tunnel, and just imagine your victory and nothing else. Don't worry about so much about what the other player's doing. Only look out for them if they're trying to steal your longest road, or your largest army, or your metropolis. Because as you guys know, I always say I love stealing metropolises. And it looks like that might have to happen this game. But first, let me steal Merchant from Mac.Schleier. And at one point, when I spied on him, I think he had 3 merchants in his hand. I'm going to do my progress card video where I rank all the progress cards from best to worst in my opinion. I'm also going to count how many duplicate progress cards there are for certain progress cards. Because if he had every single merchant in the game in his hand, that's power right there, really. There's no other way to describe it. He just really had ultimate power over trading and that extra victory point at that point. Even if I take Merchant, he can just take it right back on his next turn if he's paying attention. And now he's getting happy with the emojis. Yes, in the update for Catan Universe, they added in emojis that you can play on your screen whenever you want, and it pops up on other people's screens. So thank you, Mac, for the funny emojis. Let me call that out this game. Very, very funny. But we'll see who has the last laugh, because I'm catching up. I am only at 6. I'm still 5 victory points behind the leader, but Mac.Schleier is no longer at 10. If you can pull someone back out of double digits to single-digit victory points and try to hold them there for a little while, then you're doing something pretty good, because once they get to double digits, especially in this version of Cities and Knights where it's only to 13 victory points, they can be a turn away from winning. 3 victory points being built in a single turn in Cities and Knights happens way too often for you to ever be comfortable with another player being at 10, 11, or 12 victory points in Cities and Knights, the first island. And Mac.Schleier is still going with the emojis, but I did roll a 7, so I did get the shutdown day shoes on the 4 wheat, and I did break up. I did break up his longest road, but no one has it, because no one else had a 5-length road at least. So I basically split his longest road in half. So he still does have a 4-length road. So, I mean, if he builds one more road on, he could build it down by the 9 sheep to the 3-for-1 port, and that would be a 5th road. Or he could try to build a 5th road, up on the right side of that 9 lumber hex, kind of pointing towards his metropolis, and take longest road right back. So I knew it wasn't going to be a long-term steal or a long-term takeaway of longest road, but I knew it was necessary to place my knight there before he moved a knight there and upgraded, so I couldn't get a level 2 knight in there, because now that I have that placeholder, I can focus on taking longest road myself and having a better chance of holding on to it for a while. And unfortunately, he moves his knight and places a settlement in that spot that he was saving for himself, so he is back at 10 victory points. And I'm like, wow, if he takes longest road, he will have 12 victory points. And building a one more in Cities and Knights is so easy. So I'm like, you know what? Instead of building a settlement right now, I have to just focus on taking Longest Road. I want to build a settlement here, but I have to keep going with the roads. I have to get enough, ahead of Deshawn in road length to where he won't be stealing it back from me anytime soon. And Mac.Schleyer is going to roll a 7. And despite him being tied with Deshoes in victory points ahead of little old Dupinator, I believe he shuts me down on this turn. Even though I'm behind, I think he either, 1, wanted to spite me, or actually both might be true, and 2, he was like, oh, you play this all the time, you're so good at this game, so I just have to shut you down just because you're good. So I think both reasonings may have been true. I think they are. And he uses Merchant, so he steals it back from me, puts it back on the board for himself. How selfish of Mac.Schleyer. And now he's at 11 victory points. And if he were even thinking about Longest Road, this game would be over. Because all he has to do is build 3 little old roads, and Longest Road will be his, and he will win. But actually, I take that back, because I have a 6th length road, so he would have to build a 7th length road. So that basically he would have to connect up his metropolis to his city down on the 6 sheet, 4 lumber, 11 wheat. And even then, he would be at a 6th length road, so then he would just have to build 1 more road. But basically being 4 roads away from winning the game, that's 8 cards. I don't know if he realizes, but he is 8 cards from winning. But again, he's not much of a Longest Road guy, because he generally builds a lot on ore and wheat and sheep, even in basic Catan, because he's very heavy on cities and development cards in basic Catan, and then as you can see, cities and metropolises in Cities and Knights. And he did go ahead and build a knight. He does not have it activated though, and it looks like the barbarians are getting close. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to promote my knight, because I want to either get a Defender of Catan victory point, or I don't want to let Deshoes get a Defender of Catan victory point. So I want him to tie with me, or I win, because that's the better 2 options than the third option of him earning a Defender of Catan victory point, jumping up to 11 victory points, and really just winning this game sooner than I want it to be over. But in a crazy turn of events, Mac.Schleyer is going to upgrade his last settlement on the board to a city. So he now has 4 cities on the board. And of course, building a city adds to the barbarian strength. So now the barbarians, I believe, are stronger than all of the activated knights on the board at this time. And they are only 2 spots away from attacking the land of Catan. So the 7 comes in. Barbarians advance. They are 1 turn away from joining us. But actually, there's only 4 activated knights, because Deshoes has not activated any knights as of yet. So at this point, even though Deshoes hasn't activated knights, keep this in mind. He does have a city on the board. It is protected by a metropolis. All of his other buildings on the board are settlements. Since he does not have a city that is just metropolis-less, if you will, I think Mac.Schleyer will actually be the one to lose a city, because he has a city that is not protected by... He has 3 cities that aren't protected by a metropolis, and he doesn't have any knights activated. So they both would technically lose a city right now if the barbarians attack on his turn, but because Deshoes only has 1 city and it's protected by a metropolis, his is going to be safe. So even though Mac.Schleyer is at 12 victory points, he may get pulled back to 11 on his turn. So I'm really hoping that's what happens, because he is way too close to winning, and I gotta take someone's metropolis before it's too late. So thankfully I am able to get level 2 on the Yellow City improvements, but it's gonna still be a little while before I can make something happen. A 6 gets rolled, the barbarians come in, they do defeat us, So it looks like Mac.Schleyer will burn a city, but their shoes will be safe. So just keep that in mind. Very, very, crucial aspect of the game to consider. Late in the game, yes, you can have a bunch of cities on the board, but if you're not ready to protect them, you're going to lose one, and that's going to push you back in victory points and in terms of progress cards coming in, because he was going to get 4 wheat off of an 8, but now he's only going to get 3 wheat off an 8, plus the 8 is shut down. Of course we're going to shut him down if he's in the lead with victory points, because that's what any sane person would do. Okay, so he passes it off to Deshoes. What is Deshoes going to roll? A nice juicy 5, which I am built on. And he is in fact not built on it. There is a 5 brick at the top right of your screen, but no one is built on it as of yet. But he has science bonus, so he will take 1 card. But I will be happy taking 4 cards, because I got 2 paper, 2 lumber. And you see that trade he just did there? He asked for 3 paper. And he just asked for 2 lumber because he has a lumber port. He is trying to get 5 paper so he can upgrade to Green City Improvements level 5 and secure his metropolis away forever. Because he must be thinking by now that I'm trying to take his green metropolis. So in a crazy turn of events, he actually, instead of securing away his metropolis forever because no one will trade with him because that's just crazy at this point, he takes Longest Road instead, trades in for some road materials, and I roll on my turn, not a 7. Thankfully, the game, looked favorably upon me. It was like, let's not screw over Dupinator in such a crucial part of the game where he can actually have a crazy turn. Let's give him an 8, give him 3 wheat off of the 8 that he's built on. And now I do have Crane, so I only need 4 paper to get the level 5, because of course using Crane allows you to build a city improvement with 1 less commodity than you would have needed. So instead of using 5 paper to steal Deshoes' metropolis, I'm only going to use 4, I think. So let's play it out. We're going to try to do a little trade because, of course, I don't have that 3-for-1 port yet, so I can't 3-for-1 my wheat for a paper. And I don't have a lumber port because Deshoes took it from me even when I was thinking about building on it. But Mac.Schleyer coming in clutch, trading me the single wheat I need. So now I can 4-for-1 on both sheep and wheat to get 2 paper. And I just barely, by the threads in my shorts, stole this metropolis because I had no more cards left after that amazing turn. So both players that I'm playing against, both of my good buddies, were each at 12 victory points at a certain, already at a certain point in this game. As you guys have seen, I have successfully pulled back Deshoes back to 10, and I didn't pull Mac.Schleyer from 12 back to 11. He did that to himself by building too many cities on the board, and the barbarians attacked his cities and destroyed one of them. So I will give him that credit. I did steal Merchant from him once or twice, and I may do it again, but I still really want to do the ultimate power move and steal that yellow metropolis that he's had for a long time at this point. We are 43, I think he's had it for the past 20 minutes, that yellow metropolis, but if I can steal it from him and pull him down to 9 victory points and put me up to 9 victory points, and then maybe also steal Longest Road, which would pull Deshoes back down to 8 victory points, and then further bump me up to 11 if I stole both the Yellow Metropolis and Longest Road. Oh man, things are turning around for Dupinator. I was getting some flack from the other players on our Google Live chat about, you say you're so good at Catan, you have a Catan channel, but yet you're way behind. Look at that. I used my Longest Road progress card to take back Longest Road, take back what is mine, right? Although, of course, it's not mine to begin with, but you can basically, put my name on it because I'm going to be going for it in almost every game. It's so fun to go for. It opens up lots of spaces to build settlements on. As you can see, now that I have it, I'm going to want to get on that 3-for-1 port finally because I really needed that but thankfully Mac.Schler did trade me that 4th wheat, so I could, in fact, 4-for-1 for paper to steal that green Metropolis. But now I want the 3-for-1 port because I feel like no more trading is going to be happening at this point in the game. Everyone is getting too close to victory here. So now I'm actually in 2nd place. I'm only 4 victory points away from winning. And Deschutes is back at 8 with that longest road loss. And he is asking for resources, and I'm like, or cards in general, I'm like, that's just crazy. So I'm going to offer him a crazy, off-the-wall, totally bonkers trade, or counter offer, if you will, and ask for like 3 of every card that he's not offering me. And it was funny because he actually busted out laughing in our voice chat. It was like this is, no one has ever counter offered me like asking for basically 15 cards for 1 card when I was trying to do like a simple 1-to-1 trade or a 2-for-1 trade or a 1-for-2 trade. And I was like, yeah, that's what you get for thinking you can get resources from me in a trade at this late in the game. So Inventor shall be used. I shall get the 5 back on that lumber hex. It started out as a 4, then it was a 5, then it was 11. Now it's back to a 5. So let's keep it that way because 5s have been decently hot this game. And of course the 9, Deschutes and I benefit. And the other 9 Deschutes is on, so he gets lumber and sheep and a paper. And Mac.Schler gets nothing. And of course a 2 gets rolled. And the Barbarians advance and a 2 gets rolled. Deschutes gets paper, what do you know? But thankfully, that Metropolis is mine forever now, so I don't have to worry about him trying to steal it from me. There is no level 6 in the improvements, guys. I wish it was like some crazy Easter egg or game secret that you could do if you paid like, 6 commodities. You could get something special in Cities and Nights, but it just doesn't work that way. So I'm going to actually take a yellow progress card. I usually take green progress cards, but because I have level 5 city improvements, I'll be getting a lot of green progress cards. Plus you can see Mac.Schler has merchant, and I'm going to want to do everything I can to try to steal that away. So of course I'm going to ask for a yellow progress card after tying with Deschutes for Defender of Catan. Thankfully he did not get a victory point right there. And then I get the opportunity to steal a victory point from Mac.Schler, assuming Deschutes doesn't have Spy and uses it on me and steals my progress card. So with that 7, he does shut down Mac.Schler. I think he really wanted to shut me down here at this point, but he just recognized that he wanted the game, he wanted to win, and he wanted the game to go a little bit longer. So shutting down Mac's wheat and the fact that Mac has merchant on wheat, that is just too hot of a hex on this board to leave left wide open for dice rolls to give him resources from. Okay, so now we get a 5. I get 4 juicy cards, and you already know that I will be using merchant. And looks like I'm going to place it on the lumber because I have 4 lumber in my hand. And at this point, that puts me to 10 victory points. And now I can trade in lumber at a 2-for-1 rate instead of a 4-for-1 rate. Now I'm going to grab a sheep with it and a cloth and then build a nice settlement. So now I have a 3-for-1 port. So even if merchant gets taken away from me, I can now trade anything, commodities or resources at a 3-for-1 rate. Of course, getting the politics or the trade bonus will be very helpful, so I can trade in all my paper at a 2-for-1 rate, but I still have level 2 on the Yellow City improvements. Once I'm able to get 3 cloth, I will get that trade bonus. And Resource Monopoly, Mac.Schler surprisingly asked for sheep. So I did not get anything stolen from me. Okay, so he does use irrigation, so he stole some sheep from Deschutes. I didn't have any. He took some wheat from irrigation, and he used his merchant fleet to presumably trade in some of that sheep at a 2-for-1 rate. Because of course merchant fleet, unlike merchant, it does not give you an extra victory point. It only lasts for the duration of the turn that you use it, and you can trade in, you can select any resource, and for the remainder of that turn you can trade in that resource at a 2-for-1 rate. So Merchant Fleet is also pretty handy, but Merchant obviously is the better progress card. So he upgrades that settlement that got destroyed from the barbarians back into a city. So Mac.Schleyer is back at 11 victory points, back with 4 cities on the board. And of course, if he steals Merchant back from me, he's going to go up to 12 victory points. Deschutes, of course, knows that I'm his only rival and going for a Defender of Catan victory points, so he's going to ask me to demand me to desert a knight on the board so that he can have it. But because I had to give up a level 2 knight, and he already has 2 level 2 knights on the board, so he does not get a knight at all. But keep this stipulation in mind. He also has 2 level 1 knights on the board. So I'm not sure how many people know this, but in Cities and Knights, if you use Deserter on someone's knight, like in that scenario, I was trying to give him my level 2 knight because I had to, but because he already had 2 level 2 knights on the board, he would have been able to place a level 1 knight instead, because if you steal a knight from someone, you can place a knight of equal or lesser value on the board. But here's the thing, he already had equal and lesser value on the board. He was going to go place a level 1 knight on the board after already having 2 level 2 knights, but he also already has 2 level 1 knights on the board, so he actually can't place a new knight of his choice on the board whatsoever. So that's just something to keep in mind if you are using Deserter on someone and always expecting a knight. In certain scenarios, you will not be allowed to place a new knight on the board of equal or lesser value with scenarios like this. So just keep that in mind. So a nice 8 gets rolled. Now I get 4 wheat off an 8 because I have 2 settlements and a city on there. And things are looking good for me because now I'm at 11 victory points. And if you watch the gameplay, maybe 10-15 minutes in, we're like, psh, Dupinator, Unorthodox Master Games, what are you talking about? You're like 5 victory points behind. There's no way you're going to catch up. Well, if you stuck through far enough to this video, maybe comment down below how amazed you are that I caught up, or if you've had a game like this where you have made such a crazy comeback, let me know. I want to hear about it because I love when these types of games happen. Even though we're friends, don't even think for a second that these guys are helping me make an entertaining and good video. These guys are cutthroat in Catan. We played a couple games of basic Catan before this. I lost horribly to Mac.Schleyer. And it was only this game that I was like, you know what? Let me just try it. I know we've always talked about playing Cities and Knights together on Catan Universe. I got a feeling that I'm not really going to win. And early on, I was like, yeah, it doesn't look like this one's in the cards for me. But I stuck through it. As per the title, never give up. And what do you know? I actually made a crazy comeback. So yeah, they are cutthroat in any game we play, whether it be kind of a sport with ping pong, or sometimes we play basketball, or any type of board game or video game. Oh my gosh, our Mario Kart Double Dash competitions are incredibly insane, and those are some of the hardest I've ever, opponents I've ever had to face. And actually it's funny because I usually win in Mario Kart against them, but it's very, very close. It's never by much. All the races are very, very close. And Catan Universe is no different. I would have still posted this if I was stuck at like 3 victory points the whole game, because these are my boys. I love playing with them, and I want to showcase, that to you guys, that I can bring you some Catan gameplay, and every once in a while I get to catch up with my buddies that I've known for a good long while. But it just so happens that even though they were super cutthroat and fiercely competitive with me in this game, I was still able to hold my own, and it turned out to be a great video and a great game. So the Barbarians once again advance, and for whatever reason, Mac.Schleyer burns the city again. He's not protecting his cities, and I don't know why. I know he has wheat. I don't think he was thinking about it. I think he was just trying to get a bunch of cities on the board and win that way. But you have to protect them if the barbarians are stronger than the combined knight strength. So we actually got defeated again there, and a 12 is rolled by Deschutes. So of course Mac.Schlar not having the science bonus does not benefit, but we don't have a 12, me and Deschutes, so we each get to choose a resource of our own. How awesome is that? Now I was kind of like, really 11s are getting rolled, kind of too often. So the 11 that was on my lumber hex, where the 5 is now, I kind of wish I had it, because I would be getting 4 cards instead of just 1 card of my choice, because I'm able to trade, pretty decently with my port and my merchant on lumber. And I do have the trade bonus at this point, so I could trade 2 paper in for whatever I want. Okay, so now I'm really hunkering down, because we are very, very close upon someone winning here. So Deschutes rolls an 8. Now I have 4 wheat in my hand. I do have the 3-for-1 port. Keep in mind, I also have 4 lumber in my hand with the merchant on lumber. And you see I have 1 coin in my hand as well. Can you guess what I'm trying to do here? Whereas Deschutes has level 1 city improvements on the blue color, I'm already at level 3. I am 4 short coin away from taking the blue metropolis and getting back up to 11 victory points right here. And of course, Deschutes at this point has longest road, as Pocho Mocho accepts my friend request on Discord. That is one of my viewers and subscribers here on YouTube. Thank you for accepting my friend request on Discord. I promise I will get to you and we will play some awesome Catan Universe Rise of the Incas gameplay. As you can see, I'm just very busy. I know we've talked about it, but I just wanted to give you a shout out. Thank you for supporting my channel. So it is at this point that I trade in to promote the knight first. Okay, I got you, Dupinair. See what you're doing here. So I promote the knight. I move it over there because it looks like Deschutes was getting ready to build a settlement and, kind of chop up my longest road, but also take a pretty decent spot, a 6 brick and a 3 ore. So I'm like, I can't have that. And because I promoted my knight to a level 3, aka Mighty Knight, and put it on that spot where his level 2 knight previously was, it displaces his knight. It does not take it off the board. Since he has other places he can move his knight to, it just displaces it. And he moves it to that one spot at the intersection of the 5 lumber, 11 ore, 4 wheat, so that I can't then build a knight on that spot and kind of keep his longest road chopped up. So now I'm like, okay, I'm glad I blocked him from building a settlement at the other spot. I am not glad that now he has a really longish road, and now I have to really work hard to try to steal it from him. But I actually, although mine longest road doesn't look like much, it's pretty long. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 length. And if I build one more road right off of the city that's off of the 8 wheat and the 5 lumber, if I point that road towards my metropolis, I will have a 12 length road. And then I will be very close to stealing longest road, because Deschutes has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 length road. So kind of what my plan is here is, after I put an emoji on the screen, is I'm like, okay, hold on. I was going to say my plan, but now I'm seeing Mac.Schlar building a settlement, and now it's a city on the brick port. So he's at 12 victory points. And what do you know? This is hilarious. The barbarians have been defeated again. He did not activate his level 2 knight. That has just been chilling on the 8 wheat 10 ore intersection on the coastline. I don't even know the last time he activated that knight. But he has to burn a city for a 3rd time. That's 3 victory points over the course of a 13-point Cities and Knights game. That's huge. So he is back to 11 victory points. He was stuck at going from 11 and back to 10 for a while, But now he does have an extra settlement on the board. Instead of just the one settlement in the 3 cities, he has 2 settlements in the 3 cities. So I think, knowing Mac.Schleier, he's going to upgrade one of those settlements back into a city. But he has to protect the cities. He has just activate the knight and you'll be totally fine. But for whatever reason, he's not focused on it. I know he has the cards to do it, but I think he missed it. And of course, I was keeping an eye on that during the game, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say anything because I don't want him to activate the knight to protect the city, because that might lead to his victory sooner than, I want the game to be over. And I'm still grinding away. I'm still on my long comeback that I've been on since I was at like 6 victory points. Okay, so here we are. We rolled a 4. We got that master merchant stole from their shoes. And at this glorious point, I think I'm about to get longest road. So I have to build a road off as an offshoot off of that city right there, and then put a knight there to cut up the longest road. So I think he still has it, actually. So I cut his 14 length road back to an 11 length road. So then I build one more road to get to 12 victory points, and I pulled the shoes back down to 10 victory points, boost me ahead to 11. I have 3 coin in my hand. I am a single coin from winning this game. How crazy is it that we started out way behind and we have soldiered through this whole game just constantly, screwing over other people, taking victory points where we can, keep pulling them back away from that victory that they're clamoring for, they're trying to get to. And even though they have all the cities on the board, all the settlements, all the knights, it doesn't matter, because if the dice rolls go your way and you strategize in such a effective way, you can make things like this happen. That is the beauty, the joy, the excitement, the frustration sometimes of cities and knights. So a 5 is rolled. Mac.Schleier will do a few things, but he, if he's not going to go for longest road, at this point it's, kind of ridiculous for him to try to go for it, because I'm at 12 length road. Deschutes is at 11 with my knight blocking his total 14. So Mac.Schleier going for longest road is just too far off the mark. And the only metropolis he could try to get would be the blue metropolis. And amazingly, 10s were not rolled that much. That is why I will be able to get this blue metropolis and win the game. Because you see, no one really shut down Mac.Schleier's or Hex with a 10 and 2 cities on it. So every time a 10 would get rolled, he would have gotten 2 ore and 2 coin off of every 10. And a couple, maybe 3-4 rolls of 10, and he would have himself a blue metropolis. It's that quick, that easy. But of course, he would need some alchemists to help along with that, because 10s were not as hot as other numbers in this game, thankfully, because that was really instrumental in my victory. All this whole comeback could have been, just completely overshadowed by Mac.Schleier getting that blue metropolis. And, I did think about stealing his yellow metropolis, but I was like, because I had been slowly building blue city improvements over the course of the game, I'm like, let me just get this one, the blue one, instead of trying to steal his. Even though it would have been very, very satisfying to hear his reaction upon me stealing it for the win, let me just get the blue one, because that way I can make sure I'm going to win, so that this comeback actually has a happy ending. And I don't know what happened, but something timed out, or something happened, and Deschutes actually got kicked out of the game, or he was looking at something else on his phone or whatever device he was playing Catan Universe on, so he actually got kicked out. So of course he's going to claim that this win is invalid because he was in AI right at the very end. on the very, very next turn after his is when I got the cards I needed to win. So it's like, of course something like that would happen right when I was about to savor my victory in front of all my human opponents, with everyone, both of them watching, and steal this game away from what should have been a game over from Mac.Schleier or Deschutes like half an hour ago. But here we are, a little over an hour of just glorious Cities and Knights gameplay. A 10-digit roll right there. So Mac.Schleier got some coin. Too little too late, buckaroo, because I get to take the blue Metropolis and win this game. And the fact that Mac.Schleier did not take the blue Metropolis, and the fact that Deschutes did not take back Longish Road, because if you see, Deschutes was at 11. If he took back Longish Road, he would have won the game. That's how close this game was. That's how crazy this game was. And we're all at 11 at this point. It's really like one of the best games I've ever played in Catan, period. Yeah, I've had some other great games through my 100 videos so far, but this one right here is, man, and even playing this game and saving the recording and saving it for editing purposes, I was like, this would be a great 100 video. It's all coming together for me on this Catan channel with this 100th video to kind of set me up for even greater things for the channel in terms of Catan. So what do you know? We all know I had the cards in my hand for a while this turn. I go ahead and get the 4th coin. I get that blue Metropolis. I win this game. Guys and gals, if there's any gals watching, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the support. We're just going to keep it rolling. We're not slowing down anytime soon. As long as I have extra time in my life to keep making these videos, it's going to keep happening. What a great game. Barely had Longish Road. Barely stole away Deschutes' green Metropolis. Kept Merchant long enough to win the game and to have it be very useful. If Mac.Schleier had another Merchant in their hand, they could have pulled me back down to victory point, put them up to 12, and then I would have been like really, really worried that they were going to win. But what do you know? I come away with a win. It's always great to play with friends. I would encourage any of you, go play some Catan Universe with your friends, because I know you may not be able to see them in person. Download Catan Universe, the expansion for Cities and Knights. I think it's like $5. The real board game is more like, what, $60 or something like that, $50. Plus, if you want the 5 to 6 player expansion, it's another $40 or something like that. Play the app. I remember playing it years ago, and it was like still in the beta version, but now it's gotten so good, really. So, yeah, I'm kind of winding down here at the end of my 100th Catan Universe, or Catan in general. I played a different app, for some of my Catan videos. So my 100th Catan video. Thank you guys again. Take care. I'll see you on the 101st video. Let me know what you guys thought of this game. I really thought it was something special compared to a lot of the other ones. Just in terms of playing with friends and the crazy comeback, and just the joy that I can have of stealing a Metropolis like always and stealing Longish Road. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me go get a drink because my mouth is dry.